What is going on, everybody? This is Yes I Read That, and today I'm reviewing Spring Snow by Yukio Mishima. Right, so as you guys might know, I've been to Japan recently and I really wanted to get into more Japanese literature. So I've read one book by Murakami, which was Kafka on the Shore, and that book was totally crazy and kind of interesting, really interesting. So I wanted to read another book or another author, and that was Yukio Mishima. Now, if you don't know about him at all, then prepare to get your mind blown. So Mishima is a pretty famous Japanese writer, and he held the view that you should have complete trust or give your life for the Emperor of Japan, which, as you might know, after World War II, the emperor isn't important in Japan anymore. He's just basically ceremonial. I mean, he's still important to the people of Japan, but he doesn't really hold any political power anymore. That used to be very different. The emperor used to be basically the one person that every Japanese should give their life for. And yeah, Mishima grew up in a samurai family. He believed that people should have unconditional faith in the Emperor of Japan. So Mishima is actually best known for one thing, and that is the day he finished the manuscript for this series, this tetralogy, which is called Sea of Fertility. He basically took over a military headquarters in Tokyo. He held a huge speech for everybody to hear, all the soldiers, that they should restore power to the emperor. And when they started mocking him and didn't follow his wish, he went back inside and committed seppuku, the ritual suicide where you slice your belly and then get beheaded, basically. And that's what he's best known for. Some people say it undermined his work, but honestly, it underlines it, maybe. So yeah, really interesting character, the person himself. He was so weird and unique as well. He had this belief in the emperor in this really classical traditional Japanese system. He was a samurai and bodybuilder and believed in these values, but he was also really educated. He spoke English, which probably was very unique back in the day, and he was very educated. He wrote books. He was a famous novelist, and he also wrote plays. So he's just a really interesting character, and I knew about him. I didn't know anything about the books at all when I went into this, and so you're gonna get my impressions on this book, Spring Snow, which is, well, I'm gonna get into the story now and then talk about my likes and dislikes and my score for the book afterwards. Alright, the story. First of all, I have to say the story takes a little while to really get going, but yeah. I would say the last 200 pages of the book are definitely more interesting than the first 200, but the problem is I don't really want to spoil it too much, so I'll have to cut it somewhere. It's gonna be a bit hard, but so when the book starts, it is set in Tokyo in the period of mourning for the Meiji Emperor, so the Taisho period, basically pre-World War One. When the Meiji Emperor opened Japan to the West, and he recently died, and Japan is in mourning for him. The main character of the book is called Kyoaki Matsuge, and he is sent as a child to grow up as basically under a count. So he learns all the bad habits of royalty. He's basically a slacker. He only relies on his good looks and his attractiveness whenever he meets people, and he cultivates this elegance of aristocracy, and he basically wants to lull people with it. So he has a few friends. One of them is Shigekuni Honda. Honda is a pretty prominent character in the book. He accompanies him, and because I've already started reading the second book, he also is present in the second book as well. So, minor spoiler, it really doesn't mean he's not very important. But he has a few other friends. One of them is Satoko, who is a girl that he knew basically from his childhood on, and then two brothers who are Siamese princes, and they are staying in Japan, learning a bit of the language, learning a bit of the culture, and These are pretty interesting as well. They're both devoted Buddhists, and I think Buddhism also features a lot in this book. So the story revolves around Kyoaki growing up with this girl called Satoko, and in the beginning he denies any feelings for her, but when she is actually starting to get into a relationship with someone else, suddenly he realizes that his passion for her is there, and he starts basically letting his life being guided only by feelings. And well, I don't want to spoil it, but he starts pursuing her again. So some themes in the book are the westernization of the society, basically Western elements being introduced, and also the aristocracy of Japan kind of fading or losing importance. And of course, one central theme is the love interest of Kyoaki in this book, and his feelings. Basically, his feelings are the main point in the book, I would say. So yeah, you can read in this book how he goes from cold and uninterested to an extremely passionate person who's devoted to his feelings and only driven by his feelings, which is a very interesting transformation. And that's basically the story. It's hard to describe why it's alluring and interesting, but I'm gonna try to do so in my likes. So first thing, this is written in a prose that I really have never read before. The books that Murakami wrote were unique, but not because of the prose. I mean, also kind of because of the prose, but more because of the content of the book. This one is different. It's just a very unique writing style that I haven't read anywhere before. Well, as I said, the story is very slow at first, but after a while it started intriguing me as well, and I kind of wanted to know what is going to happen and how this is all going to play out. The thing that I liked the most probably about the book is how the feelings were described, because in this book the feelings are very important and they're described so well, and it's this tragic story with really unique characters, and then you have these really introspective descriptions. Sometimes there's between two lines of dialogue, there's a page describing the character's feeling. Just in between these two lines, how some sudden realization strikes him and the whole tone of the conversation shifts in his opinion, and how he suddenly perceives the womanliness of his, so some crazy things happening. And I really enjoyed it, mainly because it's not something I've read before at all. I've read somewhere that this book is like the female aspect of Japan for the author, so I'm curious what the other books are going to be like in the series, because I can't imagine reading 4 books like this in a row. It just wouldn't work for me. So I hope the other books bring something different to the table. But as a one-shot book, this was really interesting for me. Now my dislikes, as I said, the first 200 pages maybe aren't really that interesting. I didn't really want to quit the book ever, but I can understand if somebody feels that way. The story definitely isn't very suspenseful in the beginning if you're into that. And the one thing that might really hinder some people reading it is that the writing isn't very easy to read. So it's not super hard, but because it's so different and sometimes a bit slow but deliberate, it really isn't easy to read at times. It didn't really bother me a lot, but I could see how it does. So yeah, just a heads up. So overall my score for this book was an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed how the story was ending. I mean, I don't want to spoil it here, but I really liked that. I enjoyed this unique and kind of tragic story, these characters, the feelings, the whole vibe of the book was very different to what I read before. It's just very unique. I haven't read anything before like this. I said it a few times, but this devotion to the feelings, this single-mindedness towards one purpose, something very Japanese, but I think it's very interesting. And yeah, if you think you can identify with anything I told you about right in this review, I think you might like this book a lot. Obviously it's very famous as well, and it's kind of a Japanese classic, so if you want to get into that literature, this might be something for you. Honestly, I'm not sure if it's the best thing to get started with, but Then again, a lot of people recommend Murakami, and I don't think he is as well. So yeah, let's see. I really enjoyed the book, so my score is an 8 out of 10. But yeah, I think if the story was just a bit more engaging in some other aspects as well as just the feeling and love story, that would be really cool for me. But yeah, if you read the book, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. I think this is everything for my review. I didn't forget anything, so yeah, if you liked the video, make sure to drop a like and sub to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye!